silent and conscious. When we have a firm control of our will, we create an emotional stability which provides space to inner silence. Without inner silence, it is impossible to act properly. The habit of praying and meditating creates an ideal physic atmosphere to ensure inner harmony. When feelings are cemented by inner harmony, they can be expressed on a higher level. They can defy time and overcome emotional instability.
And in that way, we are about to start our meeting today, silencing our minds and hearts in this loving ambient where we find ourselves, which has been prepared by those spiritual benefactors who anticipated us, helping all of us, ourselves, and all of those in the spirit who are with us here as well, to carry on our studies about Spiritism, to carry on our studies about the natural laws in the universe, God's laws, understanding that we are all immortal beings, created by God with love, in order to learn to love ourselves, to love others, to love God, to love life. And in that way, knowing that those who anticipated us already dedicated themselves for us to be here, we start our meeting by expressing our gratitude towards all of those who are helping every and each one of us. Our gratitude towards our Master Jesus, our brother, our guide, our helper, who loves everyone. Our gratitude for the Creator, who created everyone and everything. Our gratitude for our existences. Our gratitude for our new reincarnation, which has been granted to us, for us to evolve, for us to progress, for us to continue our journey of self-enlightenment. Our gratitude for our parents, who allowed us for us to be once more on the planet Earth. Our gratitude for our families on Earth. Our gratitude for all of those in spirit who loves us and are with us, inspiring us and fortifying us, so that we choose always the right pathway and take advantage of the time that is presented and given to every one of us, so that we dedicate ourselves as learners of ourselves and life as we all are, and involved with the blessings of the Superior Spirit, blessings of peace, of light and love. We start our study today. So be it. So welcome every one of us here as we carry on our studies today about the Spirit's book, where we are all students and learners as we carry on weekly basis. And we are on the final part of the Spirit's book, which is the conclusion, which is quite huge actually. It's almost like a book in itself. And we are on the part 4th, where we started last week. And we carry on today and we'll conclude and probably moving on the conclusion, part 5. But let's continue where we finished last week, which is part 4. We always read a bit and then we carry on. For us to locate ourselves and situate ourselves, I read the last slide that we went through last week, and then we carry on with the next one. We finished on the conclusion, part 4, which says, we can evaluate the future based on the past. We are already seeing that the hostilities among people are decreasing little by little, that the barriers separating them fall as they become civilized, that they are joining hands from one end to the world to the other, that more justice is presiding over international laws, that wars are becoming rarer and no longer exclude humane sentiments, that uniformity is being established in relationships, that race and caste distinctions are disappearing and people of different beliefs are silencing their sectarian prejudice so that they may unite in the worship of one and the same God. That is where we finished last week. Just to reflect upon is that we can see through the evolution of humankind, even in a history when we study, that we are gradually evolving more, spiritualizing ourselves more, and in that way the hostilities will be diminishing and also the aggressiveness that we in the past were much more present. And in that way we becoming closer each other through the natural laws in the universe, which is goodness, which is fraternity, which is love. And also we are gradually, as we all have been created by God, and simple and ignorant, and we bring all the natural laws within ourselves. As more as we evolve and progress, we are understanding better those laws, living according to them, and then we are more united under the same God as beings in evolution, being from different spiritual pathways, but all of us are understanding better and deeper and deeper the God's laws, which we can summarize as the law of love, which unites everyone and everything. And in that way, we carry on then today, is still on the conclusion part 4. We read and then we discuss it. Would you like to read it, Barbara, for us, please?
We are speaking of the people that are the forefront of civilization. In every aspect, however, we are still far from perfection. And there is still much old residue to destroy before the last vestiges of barbarity disappear. But will those vestiges be able to withstand the irresistible power of progress and that living force, which in itself is a law of nature? If the present generation is more advanced than the last, why should the next not be more advanced than ours?
Okay, let's explore now this paragraph. How do we understand it in this stage of our evolution? Also understand it that we are all evolving, therefore all understanding today is one way, tomorrow it will be in another way, and later on another way. But today, how do we understand what Allan Kardec is presented in the Spirit's book, Conclusion, Final Part 4? Is it important to consider that in every aspect, although we consider the evolution, which is already happening centuries and centuries, all of us are under this natural law, but despite of that, we are still far from perfection. Yes, I think there is a vital point here. Why are we still far from perfection if we already are under the law of evolution for centuries and centuries? Why is that?
I think we still resist to evolve. And because of that, the whole planet is still withhold because of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, our fault.
It's our responsibility. Let's put it like that. Not fault, but responsibility, yes. You well said. The whole planet is holding back because we are resisting as immortal beings who have been prepared for us, especially one in the flesh, to cooperate that. We don't want to put the effort into what we need to do and to cooperate with the enlightened spirits. But as soon as we choose to do that, we become an instrument of progress and also perfecting ourselves and also cooperating towards the perfection of everyone. Yeah? Is that making sense? And there is still much old residue to destroy before the last vestiges of barbarity disappear. Which are the residues that need to be destroyed? How do we understand that?
I think when he said the vestiges of barbarity is still we fight, we are aggressive, we lie, things that is still far from perfection.
Mm-hmm.
So we still think we are better than others.
Mm-hmm.
So all these things.
We think that we are better than others. What is that telling about us as immortal beings who are in evolution?
About pride.
Pride, yes, because we consider that we are better from our limited perspective, yes, and quite often through selfishness as well. And when we now do that better than others, we fight against each other. Why do we do that? Because we still are lacking to develop love within. Then we think that everyone needs to follow what we believe. And that is not the way forward. So we need to flexibilize ourselves. And another residue is, you mentioned another aspect that I can't remember now, but is the disrespect towards each other that we can see within families, within communities, within workplaces. So also those aspects, actually, they are rooted on pride and selfishness. So we still are, although we are centuries and centuries evolving and coming back through new physical bodies, but we have find it difficult and challenging to take responsibility for ourselves in reducing the residues of pride and selfishness, in choosing humbleness and charity. That is what we are invited, or what we agreed to do, to cooperate. And that once we choose to evolve and cooperate, we will break through the limitations that we created and sometimes sustain willingly through our ignorance. And then we go back what you said, then we are resisting and cooperating with the superior spirits who are also guided by Jesus, because the enlightened spirits, us here, we are all guided by Jesus to cooperate, to change here on earth. But we all can do as long as we choose to. But will those with Jesus be able to withstand the irresistible power of progress and that living force which in itself is a law of nature? How do we understand this question? What is Allan Kardec challenging us in raising this question? What is the question about? If we were to say them within our own words.
I think I'm not sure, but what I understand is, if we are in the law of progress, we're gonna arrive a time that's not gonna have any vestige of barbarity, and that's gonna be because of law of progress.
Yes.
And I think he presented that, saying why we are worried, because the law of progress said to us we're gonna arrive in perfection, but I think you try to.
I think he's challenging us, why resist within the law of progress? Because law of progress is God's law. Why would we carry on resisting and avoiding the position, the situations, the opportunities to cooperate towards the progress, if the greatest law above everything and everyone is the law of God who is guiding us forward? So it's really challenging us. Why resist? Why not go through and allow that to flow? And then he carries on. If the present generation is more advanced than the last, why should the next not be more advanced than ours? So it's really clarifying here that it's pointless for us not to choose to cooperate and choose freely to move forward, because the previous generation also is evolving. We are evolving. The next one is coming forward. So if you don't follow that, the next generation, if you consider our age, they will have and will choose to move forward. And if you choose not to move, we are choosing to go in a different planet to learn in a different school. But unless we choose to cooperate in the planet where we are, to favor the progress in this planet, we are not coming back in this planet, because we didn't put any effort into it. We didn't take the advantage of the time that has been allocated to us. But surely God, who is love, will never punish us. He allows us to use our free will in order to choose, but we don't have the free will to choose the consequences. We choose the initial movements, but not the consequence of these movements. Is that making sense? And then we carry on now on the next one, which says, it will in fact be so through the force of things first, because with each generation, a few champions of the old abuses die out every day. And thus society is increasingly composed of new members who are free of the old prejudice. Second, because humans desire progress, they study the obstacles and and they employ their efforts to overcome them. Evolution is incontestable, and future progress cannot be put in doubt. So what is Allan Kardec teaching us here now? When he says the first phrase, it will in fact be so through the force of things. What do we understand the force of things?
For me, come that the law of God is like they push us towards evolve anyway. So if we are not, the planet, the whole thing would evolve. So if we still holding back, as I said before, we're not going to stay here. And when he said it's a fact, for me, he analyzes as a science, so it's like when you think about physics, the law of gravity is a fact. You cannot think as a religion without. So when he put it like that, he said, it's going to happen. Anyway, you can like it or not. And when he say about the abuse dies, the old abuse dies, we can see nowadays how the old prejudices doesn't make sense anymore.
Which kind of examples do we have from the old prejudices that are really fading away currently in our stage where we are? What do we see in society as old prejudices that we see that the new generations were coming up and are cooperating, changing, and they are really be challenged and changed?
We still fighting, but they have like for us women that we can work, vote.
So the old prejudice that women don't have any value. Now we find the new values that women are human beings as much as men. And if you go a bit deeper, women or men are immortal beings, are spirits created by God with love and are loved by God equally. Yeah? What else? Which other kind of prejudice do we have? Religion that is more openness about, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah.
You can see the whole world that is kind of spiritualized.
Precisely.
So it's not more like, oh, we cannot talk about the spirits or vibration or things like that. The whole world talking about it. And more, don't even talk about religions. It's just a good way to think about. And also gender.
Gender, precisely. Which we are, if we are not willing consciously to evolve, we are forced. Why? Because more and more spirits, immortal beings, are reincarnated on earth with different aspects on gender level, which helps us to break the old paradigms that we bring in terms of male and female. Now we have different aspects to understand that it's not a physical body. We are not a physical body. We are immortal beings who temporarily are going through a physical body, which we can express our gender in one way or another. And the sex is not the definition of who we are. But we are understanding more and more that the sexual energy is the beauty which comes from our essence when we use it and interact with it in a respectful, dignified way. And as long as two people respect each other, love each other, be a man, be a woman, be two women, be two men, whatever it is, as long as there is respect and dignity, that internal force called love, which is expressed through the sexual energy, is gratified in itself and is blessed and helps us to evolve our emotional intelligence. Is that okay? Any other example of prejudice that we are right now facing that really are fading away, that people are challenging? Race as well. And that is all about, when we think about those prejudices, they are challenged by people from different religions, from different spirituality pathway, from different background people. Why is that? According to, as I said, it will be in fact. Because when we learn that Spiritism is a science which deals with the nature, origin, and destiny of the spirit and their interaction with the corporeal world, that means God's laws were behind that. And in that way, all of those who are already opening or have a little window open in relation to the natural laws, they may not have heard about Spiritism, but they bring within the natural laws, which are God's laws. And they are, in the new generation, we can see they are helping to break those barriers. We are all brothers and sisters in humanity, as we are all children of God. Any other example? Human rights, is that also an example that we see more and more to become evident on earth? So there are no privilege, but also the human law, who is the extension of the divine law, is more and more through people who are more, let's say, evolved psychologically, emotionally, understanding the humanity from a more loving way. They are coming to defend those less privileged, those who are criticized or not looked at. They are coming to promote this unity within the children of God who all desire respect and love.
Another one is the animal rights.
Animal rights as well, which we have much more now in our awareness. We can see how much charities in this country are in relation to care, to look after. So that is also a signal already, because we know that it's not just us humans, when we analyze the natural laws in the universe, is interacting with different beings from different dimensions, from different kingdoms. Here we are in the human kingdom, then we refer to the animal kingdom, then we refer to the vegetable kingdoms, the mineral kingdoms. Everything is interacted in the universe. Yes? Anything else that we take here? It's really beautiful to see when we reflect about the law of evolution, the law of progress, which we are all under, and no one will be lost within this process, merely because we are not guiding our lives alone. There is the greatest force in the universe, which is the power of love, which comes from God, which in one way or another, even if we temporarily resist and we don't want to, but sooner or later we all go, because there's no way to go back. There's just a way to go forward for the level where we reached here. We can't go back.
Even though, when you said now, I think maybe the way to protect one environment now.
That is another example.
You cannot use plastic anymore. They're changing all the laws to protect.
That is a very evident, yes, example.
Because we are destroying everything.
Yes. The plastic, and then we go through more in relation to the environment. We become more aware in relation to the water, how we use it, because you know how, if we don't care now, the shortage that we are facing later on, or the new generations. We are also more conscious in relation to the electricity that we use. All of these aspects, we become more responsible. It's not just interacting with things and situations on a selfish way. We become more humane, more charitable. We consider that our excesses will affect the needs of others. And then we choose to re-educate ourselves and free ourselves from the excesses, then we live in a more balanced way. And in that way, we move on to the next one. Did I jump on? Oh, I went on the opposite way. People here. People by nature desire to be happy, and they only seek progress to increase their happiness. Apart from happiness, progress would have no objective. Let's read the first, let's reflect on the first phrase, then we go on. How do we hear the words of Allan Kardec here? Saying people by nature desire to be happy, and they only see progress to increase their happiness. Apart from happiness, progress would have no objective. Do we all seek happiness? It didn't sound very convincing. Why do people desire to be happy?
Good question. Wow.
Why do people, which are all of us, desire to be happy?
I think because when we are happy, even in this stage, we feel better about ourselves, better about our environment, about the world, about everything. So if we have that in this level, imagine how would it be in better words. So I think if we put that in mind, we'd evolve much quicker. But because we're stubborn, we just are okay to be just happy a few times. So
We are okay just to be so-so.
yeah.
But I think that is not a happy which we are referring here. I raise the question again. Why do people desire to be happy, apart from what Barbara said? What comes to your mind, please? Would I be right in saying, because all of us We have been created by God, simple and ignorant, and we bring the seeds of His laws in our deep consciousness, and the laws have the purpose to, through the evolution process, to make us happy. What is the final destination of all of us? To be sad, to be depressed, to be unhappy, to be in conflict, to be ill? No. The final destination point is plenitude, is real happiness. So we bring that within. But through our immaturity sometimes we find happiness through the unhappy situations. But as we progress and understand the natural laws, we naturally choose to stimulate the sacred or the healthy potentials that we bring within. That is our destiny as human beings in evolution, to be happy. Even us on the planet Earth, as we always say, although we have great challenges on daily basis to face as a learning process, we can relatively be happy here. Why? Because this is the house of our Father, God. We can learn as long as we choose what? There is a condition for it, isn't it? What is the condition for us to be relatively happy on earth? Follow the laws. What does it mean on a daily basis? To do what I want to do? No. So what is it?
I think we can choose to do what we want to do, but find what we want to do, make our wants in a good way. Because sometimes we just follow what we did in the past.
Yes, most of the
And
time.
we think you want that, but it's not.
No, because it's not what we agreed before coming back. If you reflect about the law of reincarnation, which is behind the law of progress and evolution, and we are in a new body, we didn't came back to repeat what we did in centuries and centuries already. We came and we choose and begged sometimes to do differently. So what then? We are free in terms of using our free will, but it doesn't mean that the way, if I use it in the old way, that I'm free. So what makes us happy here? To choose to follow the laws, as you said. So what? Is that for me to do what I want? If I want to really be happy, no. So what to do then? What I came to do, to observe where I am. You said the God's laws. Let's imagine at home. How do I, or how could we perceive that I'm not following the natural laws?
When I'm irritated.
When I'm irritated, when I'm judging others, when I'm criticizing others, when I don't do what I'm supposed to do, when I'm lazy. Yes, those are aspects at
Or
home.
even, sometimes we think, oh, I'm not lazy, I'm working all the time, but I want perfection.
Oh, that is the perfectionism. Yes, then I'm not only
So it's the opposite of that.
the extremes. Yes, the extremes.
Because sometimes I think, no, but I'm doing things. And then it's not about the exterior. I'm still doing the point of view of material way and not work inside myself. So then I stop everything and say, no, it's not like that. And I need to work inside.
Yes.
Because sometimes you get busy to
Not to
pay
think,
attention.
not to notice ourselves.
Yeah.
Yes. So we can always have, let's say, an inner feedback if we are following God's laws, or if we are according our proposal, or if we are astray through what we feel, how we feel. When we feel irritated, when we are in anguish, if we are full of anxiety, if we are irritated, those aspects, they are signals that we are not doing what we're supposed to do. And then once we realize, not to criticize ourselves, merely there and then, breathe in, breathe through, bring the focus back to the goal, off we go now, think differently and behave differently. And that helps to shift our patterns. Yeah? We gave some examples in family setting. How about examples in the community? Workplace, that we are on the wrong pathway, that we are not following God's laws. How could we become aware that in workplace? When I get angry with my colleague, when I get irritated because whatever he says or she said, yes.
When I want my way.
If I want my way, if my boss, whatever, looks me in one way. So now we reflect some aspects about when we are not moving internally and also externally according to God's laws. What are now ways in the family setting to exercise ourselves within the natural laws? Which kind of behavior, which kind of movements would those be?
I think first respect ourselves and others,
Mm-hmm.
and try to be calm.
My question would be, Barbara, how do we know that we are respecting it ourselves?
Because I think sometimes we push ourselves for a limit, but in a wrong path, not like I want to do
The
something.
perfectionism you said.
Not only perfectionist, but I talk about myself because of my condition. Sometimes I want to do things because I think I'm being lazy, and I push to an extreme, and then I get more pain and being bad for longer than I should be. So respect our limits as well, because it's not there for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of judging myself, oh, I'm being lazy or doing something that I can do, and not try to do something that I couldn't.
So I would notice in this example that you gave that I'm not following God's laws or not living or not interacting with myself according to natural laws when I feel guilty, or when I say I should be doing this when my body is limited, or if I blame myself, or if I'm criticizing myself.
Yes.
Those are ways, behaviors that we are not moving according to the natural laws. Is that making sense? Yeah. So there are plenty of exercises. Always remember, the desire to be happy is innate in us, merely because we have been created by God. And through the progress throughout centuries, that will be the final aim, to be really happy. But not happy in the immature way that we quite often may refer here on earth. So sometimes I may feel happy because I have something or I have someone. No. The real happiness is the self-fulfillment process according to the natural laws. We can have some things, we can be with someone, but if we don't do that internal fulfillment process, then we still may be empty and unhappy. And then carry on here. What would be the value of progress for them if the goal was not to improve their conditions? Even so, after having attained the happiness that intellectual progress can offer them, they will perceive that such happiness is not complete. What do we learn now in this following part here?
For me, it's kind of give me hope, because not long ago we think we need to work on just the intellectual side and think that will be the happiness. Mm-hmm. And he came, Allan Kardec came and said, no, we need to work on our emotions as well. So we still work on the intellectual side, and then you're going to come in a way and say, okay, now I know a lot of things, so what?
Mm-hmm. And I still may feel unhappy.
Yeah.
If you make a connection, know a lot, I can discuss about a lot of things, I understand a lot of things, but why I'm depressed? Why I'm so empty within? Why I'm so unhappy? Yes? Is the intellectual intelligence important to develop?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So when we say that happiness does not depend only on intellectual intelligence, it doesn't mean that we don't need to develop it. But if we focus only on the intellectual and we are disconnected on the other aspect of ourselves, which is the emotional dimension, we can be very intellectualized and know a lot, like an encyclopedia, but we may not be happy on a deeper level. Okay? And why is it so important to develop ourselves on the emotional level?
I think because our goal is to be happy, and happy is a sentiment. Mm-hmm. If we are not working on the emotional level, we think how should be, but we cannot feel things.
Correct. So I may, through the intellectual level, learn a lot about love, for example. And if I don't go then and extend that on the behavior level, on the action level, to train myself, to condition myself in little examples of love, I still may be shut down on the emotional level. Is that making sense? But if we choose with the little behaviors on daily basis to be more gentle, to be more forgiving, to be more good, to whatever, or the examples, in that way we are already on the behavior level, choosing to interact according to our belief systems as we believe. Love means goodness in movement, wherever we are and with who we are. And in that way, we are the first one to benefit from that. So much so that sometimes in certain levels of evolution that we are, because we are much more intellectualized and developed emotionally, we may be very happy as a child because I may have a new car. Not that I cannot have a new car, understand me. I may feel really happy with that. But when it comes to be alone with myself, I may have this emptiness and this lack of real value, real connection, real centeredness. So it is important constantly to be willing to understand that actually, as Joana de Angelis, the spirit benefactor, says, that we are essentially emotional and psychological beings. And our well-being, our real happiness does not depend on things.
I think when it is about that, when we put our happiness in material things, and that's taking away, even person, it's not, it's taken away from you, you're gonna get depression or something. So if you're really doing the best you can as immortal beings, you don't need, even if you can get a car, a house, a lot of money, but that not make a difference in your happiness.
No, we all need to interact because money is mutual. Money is good that comes from God and helping us to evolve when we see it in that way. As more as we evolve, we will realize that we are dematerializing ourselves because freely we are choosing to spiritualize ourselves. And yet, when we are in a situation, in one existence, that we may be part of our project to be rich. But the richness, the money is not a priority in our consciousness. The priority, even in that way, is to help others because the spirit already conquered that charitable way of living. Is that making sense? But if I'm not evolved emotionally, I'm very selfish, then I may use that money, those resources to work against me because I may focus in the wrong way. Because when we have a lot of money, but we don't have much emotional intelligence, we can use the money in order to get involved with drugs. We can use the money in terms of doing bad things instead of helping people. Because when we are in these privileged situations, it is for our own good, but also for the good of everyone. Because when we are in different levels, which is, let's say, in poverty without money, then we cannot help in that way others because we don't have it for us.
Is there examples of Spiritism of someone who was very wealthy and lived
Oh yes, we have plenty of people. Yes. We have in Brazil more. Sometimes I refer to the experience of the lady that Divaldo Franco, which is a great medium in Spiritism, and he travels a lot with lectures all over the planet, I would say. And he always refers to a lady who was very rich, married with someone in São Paulo, who was in a very high social position, and he wasn't a spiritist, but she was. So she didn't need to work, but he worked on a daily basis and was very involved in the society and meetings. And he didn't oppose her to carry on her journey. And she was pretty much involved on daily basis in charity, helping orphans, wasn't it? Yes, she was involved on that on daily basis. In the evening, he always said, I don't mind if you do that on daily basis, as long as you are available and pretty for me to follow me on my social events in the evening, which she always did. And so much so that when she went to the charity there and helped the children, the orphans, she went well dressed because after leaving the work, she was meeting him. And she has her jewelry on. And at the beginning, Divaldo, who was very immature, he saw that and he started criticizing mentally. He said, well, what is this lady? A rich woman, full of jewelry, doing here and trying to do charity. And he was in his mind and judging her. And suddenly a spiritual benefactor, which is one of the angels, came to him and said, "What is the problem, Devant?" And he said, in his state, which he was very mature, "Well, don't you see that this rich woman, full of January, is trying to do goodness here?" And then she, who is a evolved spirit, said, "You know what is your problem, Devant? Jealousy. Because you cannot see through your lenses, who are blocked to reality, that that woman is maybe much more charitable than you are. Because she has the money, but she is not focused on the money. Her intention, her mind here and now is helping others. And then in the evening, she is aside her husband, because that is her condition. Later on, he got retired, and she carried on throughout her life. He got retired, and then he said, "Well, I have been thinking about you dedicated your life throughout all this time to that orphanage, helping the orphans. And now that I'm retired, I would like to offer you a gift, which is for us to buy that orphanage, and I will help you to carry on this work." So we have plenty of examples around.
And today, so the ex-wife of Bezos, the owner of Amazon, she said yesterday that she's going to give half of her money from the divorce, billions of dollars, to charity. So
That is very good. It's very
And
good.
there's also Bill Gates.
That's a good idea. Well done. That's a very good idea, because they are more and more. I was thinking the other day, they are more and more people who are very wealthy, but they are spirits, when we see it from a spiritist perspective, who are much more evolved spiritually, and they come back, and gradually more and more we can see that they are using their wealth towards the good of majority of people. Bill Gates is a very good example. I didn't know, I didn't hear that. That's very good. Cloney is also involved pretty much in causes of humanity. We can hear that. Princess Diana was pretty much involved as well. Her sons also are pretty much involved. If we see the new generation now coming up, they are highly involved now, which I find very positive and probably quite inspired by her, by the mom, Diana, because they're highly involved in the mental health issues here in this country and helping to promote and helping to favor that there is need to help people in this level.
Maybe that's why they came in this position, I think, right? These spirits. Maybe they came in this position because they knew they could from there help others.
Usually when we are in higher position, we have great responsibility, because we have the possibility to help more people than someone who is not known. And can you imagine now that if the richest people in the world start to open up, how that can be contagious with others? But I think there are a lot of people already involved. This time, or this stage, I don't know how much you understand, not that I do a lot, in relation to the Bitcoin. Have you heard about that? If you get involved with that and know people who are involved with that, a lot of those people, they have a very charitable mind. They want to help they want to help humanity in promoting goodness. They want to decentralize the power of the money. They want to facilitate. And the latest one who engaged with that is David Beckham. That is did you hear that?
Yeah, they're kind of like a really rich guy, but in the news there's this guy, and doctors told him that he only had 1 year left to live, and he used all his money to do skydiving things to raise money for charity.
That's very good. That is an excellent example. Yes. Those are beings who are much more already conscious in relation to what life means, and also teaching us what life is about. Because that is a younger guy, isn't it? The one that you mentioned? Yes. So you can see, where did he learn that? That is experience from the previous existences that he has, and conquer that ability, that maturity, that understanding how to be charitable and helping each other. These will be the future for all of us. Did we finish here? Yes? Okay. Then we move on to the next one. Would you like to read it for us, Cargo, please?
They will realize that such happiness is impossible without security, harmony, and social relationships that can be found only in moral progress. Thus, by the force of circumstances, they themselves will drive progress along the path of morality, and Spiritism will offer them the most powerful means for the reaching goal.
Let's go through the first phrase when they say, as has been read. They will realize that such happiness is impossible without the security and harmony in social relationships that can be found only in moral progress. How do we understand this first phrase? How is that coming to our minds currently?
That we never be happy if we only develop the intelligence. We have also developed the moral to have peace and to be able to spend time with them. I think if we don't develop our feelings, our moral side, we'll never be able to see the others as before.
As brothers and sisters,
Yes.
as children of God, as in if someone is in need now and I have how to help, this is the current situation. But I also, through my evolution, understand that in the future, the next existence, the position can change. I may be in the situation that someone needs to help me. So when we help others, when it comes to the positions that we need help, we will have people around us who will help. Because everything what we do good for others, we are doing good for ourselves, because we are writing in our own psychic history the goodness that we do, and the universe will always help us. May not be through the same person, but there will always be other beings who will come to our aid.
Because I found that he put the word security. He could put just our harmony in social relationship, but he put also security. And I was thinking, why? Because if we don't feel safe in our, not only in our social relationship, the family one, but also the world we live, that is part of moral. Because if you still have people that can make bad things and you don't feel safe, how can you be happy?
That's a good point, yes. The words are not by chance here. Without the security and harmony in social relationships. Where does security come from? Even easy. Make your home, your house secure. Can I do that? If I don't have money, I cannot do it, because I don't have money to buy the security, the safety thing. But let's imagine that I have. So I live in a house, I put the walls up as high as I can, I put some security around. Is that level of security that we are talking about? That level of security leaves me secure within?
No.
Why not?
Because I think that this kind of security he's saying is about ourselves, that we still harm others, even if we don't want to, but we still do, because we still in the pride and selfishness way. So a lot of times I do because of myself and not think about others. Even in my home, it's just me and my husband, and I can do harm. So imagine in a big family. So I think that's what we say, moral progress. Once I educate the point that I'm gonna love others, as Jesus said, I'm not gonna harm others as well.
Are we able to be completely secure on earth as we are in the physical body?
I think you can't, because a thought can come.
A thought can come and everything vanishes. So can we feel completely secure internally while we are on earth as immortal beings? Sorry? Never. Why not? That's true. So how do I feel then secure? If I can never feel secure, I can't. I will challenge you. And if I say we can, how would that be now?
I think it's helpful to be okay without certainty. Then you don't need to use.
Okay, so if we learn to be, let's say, safe within the uncertainty, as you said, then we are okay. But how do I do that?
Trust.
In whom? In what? In my house. But my house can vanish, as you just said.
Trust in that which is great.
The ceiling can come down any moment.
Trust the Spirit.
Would it be right in saying, as we saw through the previous slides, that real happiness comes from whom?
God.
God. Real security comes from whom? God. Can we feel secure in an unstable world? Yes, as long as we don't put our security on the house, on things, but put within that we are immortal beings. We are not a physical body. Whatever may happen in my direction, never I will die. I keep alive. And everything that comes in my direction is guided and supervised by whom? God, who created me. And whatever He allows me to go through happens through love.
Is that Jesus did when He was here?
Yes, that is
He
what He...
was secure in every aspect.
Precisely. Precisely. So that we can conquer. That is the real security which is referred here. Security and harmony in social relations can be found in moral progress. How do we evolve morally? What is actually moral progress? How do we understand today what it means, moral progress? The virtues. What else? How do we understand what means moral progress to me? Because it could be different for different people in different time, but today.
Yes, it's about taking responsibility for what you feel, not projecting.
Okay. So taking responsibility for what I feel and not projecting onto others, and then choose whatever I feel to restructure and re-educate myself. Correct?
Take responsibility on what you've been given.
Take responsibility for what I have been giving, such as
Money.
money, for instance, yes. How do I learn to take responsibility for my money that has been given to me? You've been given to me by my parents or by God? Or by my boss? God, good, excellent. How do we learn to take responsibility towards the money that has been given by God? By using it wisely, because we also need the money for ourselves, isn't it? Using it wisely for us and using for the good of everyone. Any other example of moral progress? Would it be right in saying that moral progress refers to the ethical values which we all will develop, named or called virtues? So which kind of moral ethical values do we remember? Let's name some of them. Respect, you mentioned already one, which is responsibility. Always remember responsibility is internal autonomy. What else? He's helping us here, you see. Good. What other virtues do we have? To be charitable, correct? Which other virtues? Which forgiveness, correct? Which other aspects are referring to moral and ethical values? You can also give us other examples. Be good to mommy and daddy. Yeah. And also for us as adults too, which could be good to mommy and daddy means to respect each other. For us as adults means respecting our boss, respecting other people. What other values? Discipline, is that also part? Yes. Learn to develop resignation, is that also an aspect? Obedience to God, is that also? Persistent in doing good, in progressing, is that also? Yeah. Be cooperative. Where are you in terms of understanding that today for you?
Because a lot of people do good, but it's not like it's more to do with being kind, even though there's some good that comes out of it. So I don't know, I think there's a difference between being good.
I think when we say being good and doing good, the two words, the doing means doing things. And we can start, and we usually start, especially us where we are, not being completely good, because we are not perfect. We are on the journey of perfection, and we learn and study and choose to do good things. That already is a movement forward. But being good is when those virtues are already becoming part of us. Is that making sense? And in order to become part of us, we need to learn what they are and choose to live accordingly throughout the different existences. And in that way, we are progressing through the intellectual intelligence and the emotional intelligence, and then becomes a part of who we are.
I was just saying that because, it's like externally, you So sometimes our external actions, like we were saying, just on the intellectual level, will not bring
No,
the rights,
the security, the safety.
So me just doing good.
I think because we are so, the way that we understand, we are so disconnected or detached from our emotional intelligence, which means we are so underdeveloped on the emotional level, that even if starting to do good, even if I don't feel it, still it is progress, consider my stuckness where I was previously. But as more as we do it gradually, we will depart from that more mechanical way of doing and we engage on the emotional level. But it's a gradual process, gradual. We all are on that journey. The internal security has nothing to do with external elements, neither people, neither things. Although we may be attached to people and things and feel safe, but that is like a childish behavior, not as a mortal being who is in the universe under the law of progress to learn to walk alone in the universe. So as more as we learn that is within, what do we mean by that? How I think and how I feel. So through self-awareness, I need to become aware what my belief systems are, the old ways that I bring as conditions from the previous existences, I actualize them according to the new understanding that I conquer gradually and leave more and more, which is completely internal. The external world, people, situations, they are just divine instruments for us to develop the internal potentials. Is that making sense? Because people, no one belongs to us. We are just together temporarily in order to learn, to train ourselves internally with these, let's say, eternal values. And as more as we train, we don't get attached because we are diminishing the power of selfishness and pride in choosing to be humble and charitable. And in that way, we become more happier, safer within. Because this journey also means that we are learning the process of self-love. Unless we learn to love ourselves, we may be very rich, but we will be very empty and very depressed and even considering suicide sometimes. Is that making sense? But if we develop self-love and this understanding of the natural laws, we can be in a rich position, we can be in a pure position, in any position where the spirit is. He is relatively okay because he already accommodated psychically according to the natural laws. The natural laws, in essence, is love that comes from God. It's all about learning. Even in a poor position, even in a rich position, even whatever position, it's all about learning. Is that okay?
Did that about being good and doing good. Even people that can do something good, but in a selfish way or in show, they are still doing good.
I still do believe, because again, if we depart from the principle that we have been shut down emotionally through the selfishness that we validated for centuries, now even if I start to do good because I may have money, I want to be perceived in a charitable way, whatever it is, but I'm still helping someone. If I have the money, pass it on and help a charitable, homeless people or poor people, I'm still doing actual goodness. So although the departure point intention still is very selfish, but the end where this action, this move reaches are people in need, and they are helping. And as more as we do gradually, we also become less selfishness and more charitable, and our intentions will change through this process. But I deeply, sincerely believe, even if someone does it, to be applauded, to be recognized on human level, but if the money goes towards the needy ones, they still are doing good for humanity. Okay, is that clear? Anything else that you want to add? No? Where did I finish? On the moral progress, yes? Thus, by the force of circumstances, they themselves will drive progress along the path of morality. And Spiritism will offer them the most powerful means for reaching the goal. How do you understand the last phrase now in this paragraph? So I'll be right in saying, if as we choose all to evolve ethically and morally, then through the natural circumstances, we are helping the process of progress. Is that making sense? Can every human being who is incarnate on earth be charitable? Why? But I may say, I don't have financial resources.
Because it not depends on money. As Vitória explained in the Spiritist book,
be charitable, is be, I don't know in English, but be good with others and forgive the faults and something else. And not depends on money or material things. You can respect and be good and don't have anything.
Why the capacity, the ability to be charitable does not depend on money?
Because even if you just talk to someone, still be charitable.
Okay.
That doesn't cost
And why is that considered charitable?
it's nice.
Because it's nice, correct? Would we be right in saying that because if charity would only be down to those who have money, then God wouldn't be fair with all of us, because some people don't have the financial resources. So all of us can learn to be charitable because all of us are children of God and all bring goodness within. We can listen to someone, we can offer a good word, we can be patient with someone, we can be forgiving with another one, and that doesn't need any money for us to do it. Because otherwise God's laws would be against his own creation, which is love in itself. We all can learn to be more and more charitable on daily basis in the simple things that life presents us. Can you do this? Can you cooperate here? And we say yes, and we do. And in that way, we are already training ourselves in a charitable way. Okay, and in that way, we are coming to the end of our time today. And as usual, we close our meeting with our hearts full of joy, as brothers and sisters in humanity who came together under the name of God, under the greatest power in the universe, love, united and gathered as learners of love, of peace, of charity, or gratitude for these unique and special moments, for these reflections that touch our hearts and minds as immortal beings as we all are. Loving beings, learning to love ourselves, to love others, and to cooperate in the world in a fraternal, solidarious way, understanding that we are all interconnected through the divine love, the greatest power in the universe. We are all unique and special beings in the universe, loved by God as we are, progressing day by day. And in that way, fortified spiritually as we may feel, let's carry on united. There was a thinking and feeling of goodness for all, in our homes, our work environment, or relationships, wherever we are in our community, as divine beings as we all are, learning to do better day by day, because simply we choose to do so. May the blessings of the light and peace follow up on every each one of us, and in that way carry on our journeys in peace today and always. So be it.